I'm calling the Gilliam County Court regular meeting to order. Present, we have Commissioner Wilkins, and by Zoom, we have Commissioner Watkins. A quorum has been established, and we'll now have the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll go into correspondence, public comment. Individuals wishing to address the county court may do so at this time and at other times throughout the meeting. Speakers are asked to raise their hand to be recognized by the chair, give name and address, and limit comments to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment from the floor? Okay. Correspondence, we have the Rock Creek Bridge closure notification, which will be October 7th through October 27th. This has been publicized on our website and it's also in the Times Journal. We also have a special report, a special projects grant final report from Columbia Basin High School Rodeo, which is included online and in the meeting packet. I have a couple of pieces of correspondence, written correspondence. One is from Hank Hamelman. This is a thank you for contributing to the Gilliam County auction pool by the Gilliam County Court. He wrote a nice letter. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I thank you for your help purchasing my steer this year at the Gilliam County Livestock Auction. This fall, I will be looking through our calf crop for next year's project, and I'm looking forward to another fair. Your support makes a difference every year. Thank you, Hank Hamelman. We also have a letter that I'm going to read at the request of Les Rourke. This is regarding agenda item 6.1 on the agenda under new business, and it's relative to new cameras at Railroad Crossing. Columbia Ridge Landfill Citizens Advisory Committee member Marta Mikkalo will be addressing this, but this letter I'm just going to read now during correspondence, and then we'll talk about the whole issue when Marta Mikkalo speaks to us. To the county court. Given I'm still these days driving seed truck swing shift, there's only time to get this somewhat hurriedly composed, for me anyways, sending off to you about a matter I've meant by now to have commented on a bit more. Please ensure it's received at and made part of the written record on Wednesday, tomorrow's county court meeting, that's today, with regard to agenda item 6.1. In addition to the camera, there are 3 other immediate steps that can and should be taken by both Columbia Ridge Landfill, Waste Management, and Watco, and or to the county with respect to the problematic rail crossing on Cedar Springs Road as follows. 1, move the yellow flashing light warning currently located on the southbound approach to the middle crossing further to the north so that it gives oncoming rigs a much more visible and safer distance to stop when the signals are down. 2, place a similar aforementioned flashing light warning somewhere along Cedar Springs Road, south of the middle crossing. Currently, there is no such warning there. Positioned so that it gives approaching northbound traffic the same level of safe stopping distance at the southbound warning as the southbound warning provides. 3, somehow either reposition the equipment and offloaded rail cars along the northeast side of Cedar Springs Road approaching the middle crossing, which currently blocks one view from a distance of that crossing, or better yet, blade cut down the bluff there along the rail yard itself, so drivers can actually see from a safe distance when the crossing gates are coming down or are down at that crossing, the middle one. So it's not the last minute or having to be eagle-eyed, slowing and stop. It can often be now, especially for us ones driving 80,000 plus pounds to MCP's offloading pile facility at Cedar Springs Road, Highway 19. And 4, this is the last item. Allow the engineer to raise the crossing gates at the west crossing once the engine or rail cars have crossed into the yard by 25 feet or so, and or the engine or rail cars have crossed the crossing on the south side of Cedar Springs Road by 25 feet. So that waiting traffic on Cedar Springs Road can proceed and is not having to sit there for the often 3 times the trains crossing there to connect and disconnect a single train within the rail yard. As it is now, the engineer does that, lets cross-traffic cross for the truck and employee traffic entering and exiting the separate entrance there for Columbia Ridge Landfill, but not for the traffic stuck in line on Cedar Spring Road itself, which in most instances could easily enough also be accommodated without creating that much of an issue, safety for those on the road or time-wise for the switchmen. Sure seems to me anyways. Thank you sincerely, Last Roar. Okay, those are our pieces of correspondence. And we will go into item 3.3, update from Transportation Department, Todd Lake Director. Come on up.
Thank you. Todd Lake, Gilliam, Transportation Director. I was asked to prepare an update for the court to keep the status, give the status on where our projects are currently. And I did put a packet in that you can put on the website, but I've got just high points here. The program growth, availability was limited in previous years, and a lot of that was the procedures during COVID. We've been in the process of opening the rides and procedures back up to include more than just the limitations at that time. Priority is still seniors and veterans for transportations for medical appointments. We do transport any and all residents at this time. We've been in the process of researching not fixed routes, but scheduled routes for either shopping or there was a trip that we were doing a trip to the casino in Pendleton. It was done in the past and it was limited during COVID, and we've reinitiated that to see how it would be accepted, and so far it's been accepted very well. The big one for a lot of people is the bus barn project up on Cottonwood. I just want to do a quick report about that. We do have all of the planning done and the site reviews. The one thing we were waiting for was ODOT to final approval for them so we can break ground and start the bid system process. There's a NEPA review that was required for federal money. Well, we're in the process of clarifying through ODOT that the money is not federal, it's state. The funding is all in place. So that process, we should be able to get out for bids within the next month, I'm hoping. I'm sorry about that. Currently, we have 13 vehicles in fleet, and we have 14 drivers and paid volunteers. One thing we are working very hard on is trying to get more volunteers to come back to the program and volunteer for driving. It really is essential to get people where they need to be. And it's one thing that we are struggling with is finding more volunteers. Most of our volunteers have aged out and are now using our program. One thing that we try to do, and we're getting back to, is we help with the after school functions for the kids. From 4-H transportation. Again, we're starting to do that again. Now that the COVID restrictions have been not raised, but limited. So we also, as most saw, we participated in the 4th of July parade, and the Gilliam County Fair to increase awareness of our program and let people know that we are still here and still willing to transport anybody and anywhere. Our program funding, there's always a question about this. Our funding comes from the ODOT sources, 5310 funding and federal and state funding. We use different grants. One of the grants we really are able to take benefit from is the Highly Rural Transportation Grant, or HRTG, which allows us to get funding to transport veterans specifically. GOBE, the Greater Oregon Behavioral Health Incorporated Brokerage for non-emergency medical transport, which is what we primarily are. We do get funding from them for the rides we provide through their brokerage. And then, of course, we always encourage voluntary passenger donations. We do not charge fees at this time. We are still able to stay fee-free. But in the last 3 years, our driver hours have increased. Our number of riders have increased. And our senior passenger drivers have very much increased, as has our mileage. Projections for this year, finishing this year, will be almost a third more than we had in the last 2 years.
Wow.
Each, not combined, but each. Our numbers right now, through the end of September, are almost within digits of last year's. So we have, our trip lengths have increased because we do go as far as Portland, Bend, Tri-Cities, and we find that those are increasing. Are there any questions for me?
That big increase, just, I mean,
I think
like awareness or,
I'm sorry.
just aware, I mean, more people awareness about it or?
More awareness, but also the fact that we've broadened out what we're transporting.
Wow, okay.
The last 2-3 years, we've been transporting just medical and veterans, and we started expanding trips to the airport, things that we used to do.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Did I hear you say that you're going to start up again the transporting of folks to go shopping?
We are working on that, yes.
Well, as a former business owner in Gilliam County, I have difficulty with that because you're transporting customers away from the businesses in their community to shop elsewhere. And I'm not sure that's the right use of our taxpayer money to benefit. I mean, I understand why people want to go because you can't get everything in the county. I totally understand that. But I think there's a fine line of everybody going and buying toilet paper in Walmart when they could buy it in every store in Gilliam County.
Okay.
And I can, go ahead.
Just thank you for the input.
And I completely appreciate the input. We agree that very
I do know that from the past too, Marta, that some of those people that Walmart is where they get their prescriptions. So they make
I'm
some.
totally okay with that. I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand there's a need to go outside of the county, absolutely. But I've witnessed it in 17 years I owned a hardware store where people would go out of town to buy all sorts of stuff that all they had to do is walk in our doors. And it just feels kind of hinky to have the taxpayer money helping, going out of our communities to do that.
And I appreciate that. We have weighed that very in. We're still looking at it. That's why we've initiated to see what the reaction will be. And I appreciate that because I've had no reaction until now.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's what we will continue to evaluate. But I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Leah. I'm sorry.
So Todd, can you elaborate a little bit to the court on the system that you and with the help of Eileen put into with the drivers for making it better to contact the drivers on trips and cancellations and et cetera?
Can you clarify that for me? I'm not quite sure the question.
You know how we used to do it on paper and everything, and now we're like streamlined it so it's going to everybody's phones and just that whole system that you guys put into place.
Certainly. So we were utilizing, when I came on board, we were utilizing the scheduling software on Outlook. And it wasn't communicating directly with the drivers. It wasn't communicating office to office computer. So we literally would have incidents where Eileen, the dispatcher, would schedule an appointment and it would not show on my computer and I would cross schedule with somebody else. We'd elected to go with Google. And what we found is not only with the Google software, again, we have found that it's real time. So we have, when there's a correction made or appointment made, or ride, it is immediate. So all interested parties can see it. Also, we've been able to, using Google and Gmail, we've been able to adapt it so that when the appointment is made in the calendar and assigned to driver, the driver receives an email or a text and email at the same time, telling them when the drive is occurring, what vehicle they'll be using, all the information involved in that transport. They can then accept or deny that. We generally contact the drivers beforehand to make sure that they're aware of it before we send the appointment. But that way the dispatcher knows that they've accepted the ride. And again, it's all real time. Any corrections we need to make, if somebody calls and we added another passenger or the time changes because a medical appointment changed, that is all real time sent to the driver. And it's worked very, very well.
Good. That's great. I know it's a really needed service. It's heavily utilized. It's important to Gilliam County to have this service. So thank you for what you've done to strengthen it and make it stable. Thank you.
And we will continue. And we sure appreciate the input to help us get it better.
And I know the bus barn project's a big one. That's gonna take a lot of your time, but it's gonna be exciting when it's done.
Thank you.
So you said bids will go out soon?
Soon, I don't have an exact date because we're waiting for that final
Okay.
approval from ODOT.
Great. Good. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any
Thanks,
other
Todd.
questions? Leah, do you have any other questions? Commissioner Watkins?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Okay, we're consent agenda 4.0. Consider approval of bills pending review. Consider approval of Amendment 10 to Oregon Health Authority Agreement for financing of public health services. Consider approval of regular meeting minutes September 4th and 18th and treasurer's financial report. These are the items on the consent agenda. Are there any questions about those items?
So Chris, I just have a comment on the treasurer's financial report. You know, when he sent it in the email, it says that it doesn't reflect the interest distribution and also the payroll. So could we move the treasurer's report just to correspondence out of the
Okay.
consent agenda?
Mm-hmm. So it's moved out of the consent agenda.
Yeah, just under correspondence.
Okay, yes. All right.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda minus 4.4.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved by Commissioner Watkins, seconded by Commissioner Wilkins to approve the consent agenda with 4.1 removed from the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. New business. Marta Mikkalo, would you please come up regarding new cameras at rail crossing, Columbia Ridge Landfill? Citizens Advisory Committee member Marta Mikkalo is going to be speaking. Right.
Marta Mikkalo, Citizens Advisory Committee for Columbia Ridge Landfill. We've had lots of discussions about what are we going to do out at the railroad crossings, just to let people know what's going on. Watco, I had met recently with Watco. They had given us permission to tie into their Starlink, which on their behalf, that will really help their situation when the arms are down. Previously, they had no way of knowing that their arms were down and nothing was, there was no trains around. Now they know through Starlink. So I really give them kudos for doing that. It's a great thing. And Travis Chamberlain gave a thought that he thought that we could tie into the Starlink out there. He went to the, what he called the FRA, Federal Railway Administration. They told him no, that we could not have, there could be no cameras on their crossings, on their, using their equipment, essentially. So with that being said, that idea is out. Now, I did go back and reread an email I got from Travis, and he did state, because I was thinking we were out completely. He did state we could put something on our own ground off the railway right away, but we need power and we need internet. So I think we're going to have to revisit that. Obviously, Les was, when he wrote his letter, his was all about the warning lights and I don't disagree with anything that Les wrote. He also talked about the good neighbor aspect of the engineers that are moving the train is number 4, which stated they clear the one crossing, they don't clear the other. They clear the crossing going into the site. They don't clear the crossing across Cedar Springs. They know that happens continually. I have talked to Travis about it more than one time. He says that he will talk to somebody about it. You know, it's them playing nice.
Ongoing though.
Yeah, and it's an ongoing issue. So at this point, unfortunately, what we thought was going to be a quick fix for a nominal amount of money is off the table. So we will certainly not quit. See if there's some other way we could go. Waste Management does have those great big tall lights that are run on electricity. If they would give us permission to tie into the electricity, then we're still looking at the county perhaps throwing in $120 a month for Starlink. Do we want to do that? Do we not? At this point, we have to have the infrastructure approved before we even start thinking about what the cost is. A camera is nominal. It's going to be $150 to $250 basically. But we still have, it has to have 110 power, has to be able to put it onto some sort of the internet. So it makes me sad. And I'm going to meet with Travis. He's supposed to be in Arlington today. Said he'd reach out to me. So if I can make it, I'm going to try to meet with him. So we don't want to let it drop. I mean, let's figure it out.
Yeah, I thought 2 things. I didn't know. I just assumed that the warning indications were put in by Waste or the county. And now Watco Starlink they have it there, or they were
It's
gonna
theirs. They've attached it. They have a Starlink now that's attached to the middle railroad crossing, so that they know what's going on with their road. Because those bars have historically been down like an all weekend long.
They're just using the Starlink to get the indication
They're
or something.
getting, right, they're using the Starlink so that they can see they know what's going on with their bar, if the crossbars.
So couldn't we come off of the wireless or something?
They won't let us,
They
they won't let
okay.
us. If it's through Watco, we cannot do it. So the Federal Railway Administration kiboshed that.
I just thought they'd be out.
Potentially, I mean, this is what Travis
Okay.
told us. So, you know, he could use whatever excuse he wants. The answer essentially is no.
No.
And so if we want to move forward, we need to figure out how to put it, and we could certainly put it in a county-owned right-of-way, as long as it's not in a railway right-of-way. We could do something, but in order to do that, we have to have power and internet.
Infrastructure.
So
Yeah.
it's the infrastructure, and I don't know, I mean, we know that the site will not allow us to use their network because it's very protected.
Sure.
And I totally understand that. And so we'd have to figure out our own
Solution.
internet, if we could do something.
So maybe if they could provide the light and the power, the site.
Right, that's what and then we
then
could
we
put a
could
camera
just-
up there, but that means there's $120 bill every month
Right,
for
Starlink.
Starlink.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
there's the cost of the camera, but that's nominal.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
that'd probably be, if you got a really good camera, it'd be $250. And then we could tie into the county website to let people know. And if you put it up on one of those light poles, I mean, it's really high. And you could do 180 degree. You could potentially see both of the railroad crossings, the two, the middle one, and then the one that's further down by the building. So, but it's still $120.
Yeah.
And so what I will do is I will move forward. I will get in touch with Paul Wilson to see if there's any chance that they would let us do that, tie into the electricity of the power pole or of their light pole. It's a light pole. And I don't even know if that's possible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
So
at this
you'll
point,
just take the next step and you'll contact Waste Management and see if that's a possibility.
Yeah. And I also was thinking solar. I mean, is there something that we could do that's solar powered?
Mhm.
So there's more,
Okay,
yeah, there's more studying we have to do to come up with something. We don't want to let it go.
Right.
You know, but,
The only question I have is some of the indication that's there, like signs and the lights, was that done by waste or by the county? I
the
wonder.
lights.
I mean, some of the,
blinking lights,
yeah.
I don't have any idea, and I will ask Travis today because I don't know
I'll
the
check with,
answer to
I'll
that.
check with Dewey to see if,
Yeah, I think we
because
probably know.
it's county road. I don't know if county would have done anything like that or,
It was
but-
probably part of an agreement with,
yeah,
with,
okay.
with the site.
yeah, get the history on that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but my guess is that it was not driven by Watco. And Watco is not, they've been there for quite a while, but I don't think they were the original railway company that ran that, so, but I don't
Yeah.
know that. I mean, it's
Okay.
been, that's way before my.
So Grant, you will do.
I'll check with Dewey about,
Okay.
the existing ones there and, I'll give him this with less concerns. This has got some good points.
Right.
And, I think realistically, we're still, we're working on the bypass and things,
Right.
but we're still out a ways. And, but this seems kind of like this is a safety
Mhm.
item.
And that's what it is. But reality is too, it shows you that the train is there. And by the time you get there, because people who are looking at their phones, I mean, it'd be really great for employees because they're obviously can look right away and see what's going on. But if you're going down the road,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of coverage there, but you can check before you leave town and see,
Right.
if there's a train close by, then you don't want to go that way,
Okay,
but
all right.
yeah, the natives figure that out really fast.
Yes, they do. Thank you for all your work on that and your continued work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Yes. Okay. We are going to go back to unfinished business. Consider approval of deflection program contract, Kara Davis, District Attorney. Okay, so this is, we finally have a deflection contract. Thank you
Yes.
for all your work.
I was really slow on it.
No.
It's amazing
It's
how
work.
it's so slow when it's not what you're used to doing every
It's a
day.
new program too.
Yes.
So,
So I'm really excited. I did last minute, I wrote up a kind of understanding policy document. And I ran it through the sheriff's office to make sure that I had everything that we needed in it, but I just thought it would help people to be able to picture what the program is by doing a document that spelled it out. So I included that for you guys too. It's just what the program is. The contract that I used for us and community counseling solution, I stole from Umatilla County. So it's basically their contract. I did have a reversion clause in it that says if or when the program ends, anything that is within CCS's purview, anything they have of ours reverts back to Gilliam County. So the idea was that they can purchase a vehicle for the peer mentor to use to help get people to meetings. Our housing assistance is over in Pendleton, which has been a problem for us in the past because it's very hard to get people there. So the peer mentor can take people to those meetings, maybe take them to AA meetings. I don't know, whatever they need. Doctor's appointments, mental health appointments. But that car would revert to us if the program were to end. So the title would revert to us. That was a clause I put in there. And then I took Jessica Rose's personal service contract that she uses when she does things like be the coordinator in Morrow County, and I adapted it to be between her and CCS. So the way this would work is CCS would procure the whole $150,000 of our grant money, and then they would have it and spend it, and then anything that was left in their funds at the end of the year, or if like the car, or if we had like, I don't know, if we bought like gas cards in bulk, so that we could give gas cards to people when they needed them, and there were gas cards left over, those would revert back to us. So the only question I have for you came up to me today. we're supposed to report to the state how we're spending the money in accordance with the line items. So we could do one big one up front and say, you know, to CCS for all these things, we've spent all of our money, thank you. Or we could spend it as we go. I'm afraid if we report it spending as we go and we haven't accounted for the whole 150,000, they might want some of it back. That might be something you guys need to discuss and figure out what you would like me to do to structure how we report our payments. But if you sign this contract and we want to report it as one lump sum, $150,000 payment in accordance with our different line items, that would be due on the 25th.
I just saw that.
Yeah, and I could work with Brooklyn on
Yes.
like, let's get this in, but do you want to report spending as we go? Or do you want to say we gave this whole, and I think we could do the whole 150 to CCS and it's for these items, because that's what we're doing. And it's for these items, because we're just giving it to them as a contractor.
Right. I would say I'm comfortable with that as long as they'll allow it. And then we would work with CCF just to verify the actual expenses.
So the 150,000 is from the state, right?
Mhm.
Cause I don't know why, but I had 50,000 in my original.
50,000 is what I think is gonna be about the amount that the peer mentor is gonna cost.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, out
I
of the
was-
150.
I was just thinking that was what the state was kicking out when,
No, we got the same amount as
Okay.
like Hood River and Wasco County for just us.
wow,
It was the minimum amount they were giving out,
Okay.
which is part of the reason I jumped on it. I was just looking at my files. We have 5 or 6 people that account for over 50% of all my case referrals. That means police reports that are sent my way for my review. About 5 or 6. And then the other 50% of those cases, which is one case, one person. So I have, I don't know, somewhere around 100 or maybe 115, 120 cases a year. I don't know how many I reviewed total, but you know, somewhere in there. Those other 60, 75 cases are 75 people versus 60 cases that are 5 people. So, you know, we're not thinking we're gonna have a bunch of people go through this program, but man, if we could even help one of these people. I have one person right now, I think I've gotten 7 calls on in the last couple months. So you know, it's just trying to transition even one of these people into being less of a burden on our resources would make such a huge difference. So that's what we're trying to do.
Okay, do we?
Oh, and I highlighted some parts. I volunteered you,
Okay,
Chris, to be the contract administrator. Somebody needed to be put in. I just thought county
Okay.
judge made the most sense. Leah, though, did sign the original grant applications for the county, but somebody needs to be designated. So I highlighted that and put a note in there so you guys could put whoever's information in there that you want.
yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
With doing that, as long as everyone else is.
It says Gail Trimmer right now, so you just might want to make sure to put your information in before
All right.
signing it.
Okay, do we have any questions? Commissioner Watkins, do you have any questions for the district attorney?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Thank you, Kara, for all that work.
Yes, Commissioner Wilkins, do you have any questions?
I'm good.
Okay, so I'm just gonna recap what we heard from, the district attorney is the Gilliam County. There's a proposed contract between Community Counseling Solutions and Gilliam County. The entire grant funding of $150 would be
$150,000.
$150,000 would be forwarded to Community Counseling Solutions and they would manage the grant and then they would contract with Jessica Rose to manage the deflection program, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and I ran these contracts past them as well.
Okay, all right. I read them as everybody else had a chance to read the contracts. Okay, so the only contract we would be approving today would be the contract between Gilliam County and Community Counseling Solutions. Do we have a motion?
I will make a motion that we approve the deflection program contract with CCS as presented.
And do we have a
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Wilkins and seconded by Commissioner Watkins to approve the deflection services contract between Gilliam County and Community Counseling Solutions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Kara.
much, Kara, for all your work. And I do want to just say, Kara, on the reporting, we'll work with Brooklyn and make sure that the state is comfortable with handling it that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
if not, we'll just, it's uncharted territory.
Yes,
so.
it is, and it's all new for them as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, back to new business. We have, consider appointment of property value appeals board for, 2024, Ellen Wagenaar and Chet Wilkins. Come on up and you'll have to pull up another chair. I don't know if items 6.2, 6.3, and 6.4 are all going to continue together, but I'll allow you to drive the conversation.
Okay, every year, people that have property have the opportunity to appeal their assessed values. It used to be called BOPTA, which was Board of Property Tax Appeal. They didn't like that. They didn't like the tax appeals because you're not appealing your taxes. You're appealing your assessed value.
Your real market value.
So House Bill 2031 renamed it to Property Value Appeals Board, which seems simple, but it wasn't, because it came effective January of last year, but you have to change all your forms and your books. So they left it BOPTA and it became the new name July 1 of last year after we went through the process. Okay, we have we have a board, we have a pool one, it's called a chairperson's pool, and it's usually a member of the governing body, which you guys have already, I think, designated Leah Watkins as that board member. And then we have pool two, it's called a non-office holding. You can't be a member of the governing body, you can't be an elected official, and you can't be on a tax district within the county. So as you see the appointment, so pool one, we have Leah Wilkins. Pool two, we have Marta Mikkalo and Mark Wilson.
Okay.
And I'm just asking for the appointments to be approved.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the first item, which is?
I don't have any.
Commissioner Watkins, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay, do we have a motion? And it is under agenda briefing, yeah. So suggested, okay, so under the first section here, yeah,
This one
this
there.
part, yep.
I'll move to approve the appointments to the Property Value Appeals Board as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the appointment to the Property Value Appeals Board. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And the petitions will be on the website after the tax statements go out, and the deadline to file is December 31st. So.
Okay, thank you. Next item is 6.3. Intergovernmental agreement with Sherman County for shared assessment services.
We've always done this between Sherman and Morrow every year. It's in case we need another opinion or something happens to our assessor or something happens, we make this agreement that we will share between counties.
Right. And if this is the reason I'm here. If there's an appeal in another county and the board and the assessor and the person appealing can't come to an agreement on the value and the board feels like they need a third party opinion of value, then we would go do the appraisal of the property and give our opinion of value. We've never used it since I've been here.
Okay, is it statutory? Or is it just an agreement that?
No, it is not.
Oh, okay, that's a good system. Good. Anything else on that one? From you?
No,
Okay.
we haven't had any appeals since 2013, I don't
Oh,
think.
yeah.
So
It's been a while. Okay, it's
Learning process.
okay, Commissioner Watkins, did you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Commissioner Wilkins, do you have
I
anything?
don't have any.
Okay, did
I
we,
do have a question though. So when these agreements were made, you see the governing body signs and then it's usually the district attorney is the one that helps us if we have any problems. Designated, as you know, Kara is leaving.
mhm.
Her term ends December 31st. So I don't know if we just need to get county council, regular county council to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a timeline on this? What we
Yeah.
could do is we could approve it pending approval of county council.
Okay.
Commissioners comfortable with that? Okay,
I'm good with that.
and we could just make the motion to that effect. Okay, do we have a motion on the intergovernmental agreement with Sherman County?
You want me to make? Oh. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the intergovernment agreement with Sherman County and to authorize the county judge to finalize and execute the agreement with the district attorney Kara the remainder of this year, and we're gonna use our council the remaining of 25.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
Have any?
All right, motion carries.
Oops,
But
we gotta vote. Did we vote?
Gotta take a vote.
Yeah.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Sorry, got ahead of myself there. All right, as far as the intergovernmental agreement with Morrow County, do we have anything different on that
It's
one?
exactly.
Exactly the same. Okay, so we'll go ahead and request a motion for that would be exact same motion, but Morrow County.
I'll move to approve the intergovernment agreement with Morrow County and to authorize the county judge to finalize and execute the agreement with our district attorney Kara the remainder of this year and our county council the remainder of 2025.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, that take care of that.
Thank
Take
you.
care of that. Thank you very much. All right, we have item 6.5, consider approval of joint use agreement with Columbia Basin Electric. This agreement is for attachment of fiber equipment to poles in anticipation for an application for a grant for fiber funding. This is BEAD funding. The agreement has been reviewed by legal counsel. It is in your packet. Columbia Basin is good to work with. They are cooperative. They are on board and hoping that all rural residences have fiber. They're an integral player in making sure this happens. And just to recap a little bit, Raleigh Networks is covering South County as a private business to provide fiber to every rural resident in South Gilliam County to their driveway. There may be some extended services beyond that, but that's a separate than this grant funding, which will be North Gilliam County funding that we're planning to apply for. Part of the pre-qualification process for this grant funding is that these pole attachment agreements are in place. They have to be in place. There will need to be an agreement with Columbia Basin, and there also need to be an agreement with Pacific Core. We're working with Pacific Core right now. It will be a little more cumbersome, but it is possible to get that agreement in place. The details on that will be coming to the county court at future meetings. What we're dealing with right now is just the Columbia Basin agreement, and legal counsel has reviewed it. It's before you for discussion and consideration, and we'll just open it up for any discussion. Commissioner Watkins, do you have anything?
No, it didn't look like it changed much from last time.
No,
we
it
looked
didn't.
at it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I don't have any. Do we have a lot with Pacific Core besides in the north end?
There's no south.
It's-
Everyone in South County is served by Columbia Basin.
Okay, it's just the
Mhm.
north end, okay.
Right, and I did just out of curiosity and to help with this grant, I took all of the homes that are going to be on this grant to be hooked up to fiber, these rural homes that are in North County. And I took that list to Columbia Basin and asked them to identify which of those are their service. And it was about half. I was surprised
Oh, wow.
as much. But
Okay.
when this grant funding comes down, it is by school district. So we need to service all that are in the Arlington School District and those unserved in the Condon School District and those that are in the Morrow County School District that was the old Oleg School District. So when the grant funding comes, there's going to be a lot more to this that we're going to have to, we need to just go through the steps to get in position for the grant funding.
Okay.
Are we ready for a motion or do you have any other questions?
I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Do we have a motion to, go ahead.
I'll move to approve the pole attachment and joint use agreement between Columbia Basin Electric Company and Gilliam County, and to authorize the county judge to finalize and execute the agreement.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay. We will get that taken care of and back to the agenda. Announcements and next meeting. The next meeting will be October 16th, Gronquist Building, 10 o'clock a.m. But we're going to be, what I would like to do is have a work session and start at 9 o'clock with that work session, if that's agreeable for the commissioners, so that we can have a deeper discussion about the whole fiber grant.
Good with that.
Commissioner Watkins, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, and I hopefully I will be able to travel down there to that
Okay.
next meeting.
Okay. I'll explain a little bit more about that when I give a report of what's been going on our end, but I'll allow, so I just want to clarify, we're going to have a work session. It's going to start at 9 o'clock on October 16th. It will be in Arlington, as well as a regular county court meeting, which starts at 10 on October 16th. Okay, Commissioner Wilkins, did you want to update the court on what's been going on with you?
Yes, attended North Court meeting on September 19th. There possibility about county members forming a taxing district to, they're concerned about some of their budget shortfalls. It's just talked about possibly coming down the road. They also talked about, I'm not sure if Commissioner Watkins was aware of it, but they had some land next to Norcor that they possibly talked about selling. I guess my feeling is I kind of against that. And land is not always out there, but I'm not sure where Commissioner Watkins, your thoughts, Leah, on that. You know, if they do want to sell part of their land, but that's just something that they're talking about now. Did you know that they talked about selling any of that land adjacent to the jail before, Leah?
No, not when I attended the meetings. They hadn't talked about that.
Yeah, and I don't know the size of it, but it's to the west of the jail location there. And I mean, nothing definite. They're just kind of kicking ideas out there. But I guess my feeling on the land, I'd hate to see them get rid of it. It's,
What's the reason for the budget for shortfall?
well, I think just the cost of everything. They're doing everything they can to contract, available beds. It's just not covering all the cost. And, they're worried about the future, where we're headed. But anyway, more to come on that. Attended a Korea meeting on September 13th. They're looking for a new executive director to replace Mike MacArthur as he's retiring. New solar sites coming. There's a big one coming in Sherman County. And then BPA gave a little presentation about trouble coming down the road with connections, available transmission lines. So there's just a lot coming, but nobody seems to have the answers. And I'm going to attend a Arlington Community Child Care meeting tomorrow night. Have another Korea meeting on October 11th and another Norcor meeting on the 17th.
Okay, good.
Wow.
Commissioner Watkins, I know you've been in recovery, so probably you don't have a lot to report, but would you like to update us?
Yeah, I would, I did visit with Kristen Monahan after the meeting that we had last on the 18th or whatever it was. And I did reach out to her again and ask her, I know she was going to work on that information that the public was asking about. So I did send her an email and asked her if she could get that to me by the next meeting in October. So I'll try to follow up on that.
And that's in reference to employees, contractors working on the Gilliam County contract for Pell nonprofit. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So
And she talked to me about the website information that people could get on and could get information.
So we'll have something by the next meeting, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. On our end here in the courthouse, as you know, we had some problems with Zoom last time. We believe we've alleviated those problems by switching to a different platform for Zoom, which will alleviate and hopefully prevent hackers from stealing the screen, and that's what happened. So we used the new platform today and it seems to work fine. Would sure appreciate input if anybody out there is not able to communicate, see, hear, anything like that. We just want to make sure that it works for the public. So that was a solution for that. I'm also going to attend the Arlington Child Care meeting in Arlington at 5 o'clock tomorrow evening. There's an AOC District 3 meeting Friday, which I'm going to attend. That's in Hood River. We did a newsletter and Anya did the work on that. It's a great newsletter. It is online. We are hoping to have, and it's also on the website. It was emailed as well. We're hoping to have a printed copy in the future. We're going to do a newsletter quarterly. With the percentage of senior population Gilliam County has, I think it's good to have a paper copy. We're trying to figure out the costs and the logistics of how to do that, whether we do box holders, whether we put them in locations like the bank, post office. We're working on how to get the printed copy out and keep the cost down. But that's in the works, and that's been good. I'd like to see Gilliam County have a Facebook page, but I want to disclaim this by saying not allow comments at all. Sherman County has a Facebook page. Gilliam County Sheriff's Office has one. Many of the departments here in Gilliam County have one. And it would be a way for us to communicate with our community by sharing information. Job announcements, meeting agendas, upcoming things going on that the public needs to know about. The only way it would work would be to not have any comments on that page, but I'd like to start that. Any input on that? Okay, all right. We have a surplus communication tower on property owned by Barnett Brothers. This was something that was in the works when I took the position, and Anya and I have worked with legal counsel, and we believe we are to the point where a document to sell that tower as surplus property to the Barnett family will be presented to the county court, probably the next meeting. What this is, I think it was a tower that was part of the Frontier Telenet network originally, but it was never utilized. So Gilliam County owned the tower. All of this has gone through legal counsel. We contacted Rural Technology Group, who has equipment on the tower, and it's Clem area. And the equipment is not being used because Starlink is now being used by all of the people out there. So Rural Technology Group has no customers. They're in agreement of removing their equipment and turning that tower over to the Barnetts, that's who the property is on. Originally, it was on Ernest Barnett, but now the property has changed hands to Barnett Brothers, who is Paul Barnett, John Barnett, and William Barnett. So that will be coming. I'm just letting you know to be prepared that that's coming. This is going to be a larger discussion, but I wanted to start the conversation and just let you know that I'm wanting to move forward with staffing the county court with another position, because there's another position in the budget. There has been 2 people in the county court office. This position, in my thoughts, would be half-time HR, half-time project management, not like a project management person like Pillar Consulting. I'm talking about handling community development projects. HR, we have done our due diligence between Anya and I believe, and we have tried to seek out outside HR firms that could handle HR, because my original thoughts were it would be better to have somebody off-site that isn't a member of the staff handling HR. The problem with that is they're few and far between, and it's hard to find somebody who is going to be up to speed with our issues. I would like to see this person be an HR resource person that is versed on our union contract, updating our contracts, involving HR and our handbook. And to be a resource for HR that's helping us meet the law, helping us handle things appropriately, but on site. An on-site person is going to understand with the situations that we're dealing with day to day. HR is different here because we have so many different classes. We have union people, non-union people, people who are elected officials. The sheriff's office is completely different. I did talk with the elected officials about this, and they just want to make sure that this is not an overreach position, that it's a resource position. And I think we can do that. The HR isn't full-time. So how do we make this a full-time position? Because I fear that if we only hired a half-time position, we wouldn't hire a person who, it would reduce our pool of applicants. The other big need we found is there is so much going on with Business Oregon and tax incentive programs like the SIP projects coming down the road. All of the grants we're dealing with. The fiber project is a job within itself to get this going. It's going to take a couple of years. The initiatives we have with childcare, housing, I think that a person handling community development, maybe the title is economic development, handling all those special projects, helping us with our strategic planning and all of our grants like the EV charging grant, the fiber grant. I think there's room for this. And I think that with the growth that's going to be happening down the road, this is going to be needed. So that's what I want to let you know. I will have job descriptions for you to look at and consider at the next meeting, but I didn't want to spring it at you at the meeting that the job descriptions are presented at. I wanted you to have time to think about it. Are there any thoughts right now?
I don't have any.
Okay. And in this whole thing, I want to say that Anya's position, her title my thought is her title then would be changed to executive assistant to the county court. Anything?
That's actually more like what she's doing right now.
Exactly. And we have this gap with HR.
So my only thought on the HR, and this came up when we were interviewing Anya and the other applicant, is that looking at maybe the ESD who does lots of contracts with the school district on sharing an HR person, but I don't know how that exactly would work.
Right. Yeah. We did ask our insurance, City County Insurance Services, CIS, their recommendation when we were looking for, the outsourced HR contractor. And their recommendation is that they said the trend is that HR is in-house. So I've changed my thoughts on it now that I've become more educated and gotten some more information.
Well, and it always seems like you even got to still follow up with CIS on everything, regardless.
Yes, and definitely we will have to have legal counsel involved. But this person is going to be able to speak with legal counsel and speak the right language.
Well,
and
answer the day-to-day questions that just come up.
I hope we can find somebody. I think it's worth a try. And then just go from there. Okay. Let's see that so we have been working with Avangrid. There is going to be coming a SIP proposal. I just want you to know that this is coming. It's going to come before the county court this winter. We will need to involve the taxing districts. They are the people who are affected by these agreements. We want to make sure that if we do enter into agreement, they're at the table. This is a repower. So just to let you know, it's a repower on Leaning Juniper 2. And the point of the strategic investment program is to attract new business by giving tax incentives. This is a little bit different because they're already here. And this is a repower, but they are eligible for the SIP on this. I've been in communication with other counties regarding their agreements. It's hard to find other counties that have this type of situation because their original SIP was expired. That makes them eligible for a new one. So we're running numbers right now, going back and forth. They'll come to us soon and we'll talk to them. I've been watching webinars on Business Oregon on the SIP programs, the other tax incentive programs. Artfish is the Business Oregon group, we were on those. So working with him, also found out that Washington State doesn't have tax incentive programs like ours. And that's really interesting since they have so much, same type of things just across the river, but they're inquiring about what Oregon is doing. So it's kind of interesting. So this Avangrid will be coming to us soon, this winter. Working with Avangrid also on the transmission lines over Shetler Station. We finally have an agreement and that's being forwarded to legal counsel. Okay, as far as the broadband goes, I just wanted to kind of talk to you about what I know so far and go back to the work session idea, which we are having a work session, but just wanted to tell you what's going on. The pre-qualification for the large funding, this is multi-million-dollar funding for attaching fiber above ground to the poles of Columbia Basin as well as Pacific Power. Columbia Basin contracts approved, Pacific Power's in the works. This is what's happening with this grant right now. We're finding out the requirements as we go a little bit. Pacific Power is requiring, in order to enter into agreement with them to set the equipment on their poles, they're requiring either $52,500 in cash, a letter of credit, or a performance bond. I did talk to John Anderson and a performance bond is possible, and that is 1% of that number. But to enter into agreement with Pacific Power, that's what it takes, as opposed to Columbia Basin, which we just signed the agreement. So these are the things we're finding out. We have to have the agreement with Pacific Power to do this. So the BEAD grant requires a 25% match. That's another thing we need to discuss, and that's why we're going to have the consultant here for the work session to explain all of this to us, to make sure that we're making good decisions about what we're doing. There may be a way around the 25% match, which the consultant will explain to us. Many hoops to jump through with this grant. We're going through the pre-qualification right now. So as I explained earlier, this is a North County project and it's by school district. So that's how this works. Yeah.
The question, does, regarding the north end, does Arlington TV Co-op already have an agreement with Pacific Power? Because they're doing, internet and phone services. So I don't know if they already
Yeah.
have an agreement. Might be,
Right.
you know, I mean, what happens to them? I think this is out, that clearly this project could clearly be the end of them.
But this is just rural. This is rural
This is not in the
only.
city,
I apologize. This is only rural,
not in the
only
city.
rural,
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
And so let me clarify also, the South County project is only rural as well.
Right,
This is
okay.
just rural fiber. The cities are covered.
Okay.
And I
see.
apologize for not clarifying that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So these are just,
So that's a non-issue.
Yeah.
And I think that TV Co-op, they probably do have an agreement with Pacific Power, but it would be a non-issue because you're targeting
Yes.
a different audience.
yes, yes. Okay. The capital investment grants, the window's open now. We have one application received. The grant committee is in the process of reviewing that. So that will be coming to the county court soon. I did receive some feedback from a couple of other applicants that the 50% match is hard to meet. So we will need to be revisiting that, I think, at least discussing it. Brooklyn and our treasurer have been working on the accounting system. This is a big project. The plan is to move to a new accounting system, which is called Cassell. We previously been using, well, we're currently still using Shav's system. And Shav's had a payroll component as well as a taxation and assessment component. That spoke with our Helion system, which does the taxation and assessment. We need to be sure that everything's going to talk to each other with this conversion, and that the payroll and the taxation and assessment system speak to Cassell. So all of that is being discussed right now to make sure everything's going to work as we think it should. Because when you're working in 3 different systems, there's things that aren't complete in the prior fiscal year right now because of this transition. So I'm planning to have a finance meeting next week with Brooklyn, Nathan, and probably the assessor's office, just to make sure everything's going as it should. The auditors did their first phase of the audit. They're coming back in November, and hopefully it'll all be done by December 31st when it needs to be done. Did you have anything to add to any of the accounting discussions, Commissioner Watkins? I know you were involved in all that.
No, I don't.
Okay. The library is being painted at this time. Rutherford Construction is working on this right now. We had a little, we had to repaint a little bit of it because it wasn't the right color. It is the right color now, and that was on the trim. I've been working with, this is regarding probate. One of the probate duties is judicial adult guardianships. And I've been working with circuit court and a nonprofit to make sure that that training is in place. So that will be coming to you as well if we possibly propose a contract with this nonprofit to give us some training for families who are asking for guardianships of adults. I think it's really important that we track those and make sure everything's going well, and I just want to make sure that that's taken care of. We had an elected officials meeting yesterday. It was good. Everybody was there, all of the elected officials, and I want to do those once a month. That's what I have on our end. Is there anything else?
I don't
Nope.
have anything.
Commissioner Watkins, anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, next meeting is October 16th, Gronquist Building, Arlington, work session at 9 a.m. Regular meeting starts at 10. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.